And of course, every once in a while, the prodigal gun host returns. Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pond in studio with us, along with Todd Eccles, who's back this week from Patriot Defense. Bill Colley with you too as well. It's 9:06, and we're at 67 on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. You have been a busy guy the last couple of weeks, though.
It's been busy. It's been really cool. I've got to work with some pretty high end guys and do some training with some SEAL team guys, and anyone that questions what we're kind of doing in gun training in this valley needs to realize we've got some of the world's best.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are out there in the point of the spear, the guys defending this country, are now training right in this valley, and that's a great thing for us because they are great men and women, and they're doing great things, and now they're coming right here to this valley to train, and I think that's a great thing for us here.
I used to work with a fellow, and his dad got hired to be director of security for a company called Bear Stearns, which did big investments all over the world. And one of the first things that he instituted was training on this because there's so much money being handled and going around, and so many people involved, and so much. I mean, there are business people who are kidnapped off streets in places around the world because of this. So what they were doing is they were literally training people into how to get out of tough situations, but that also included firearms training. And that's a part of this we don't think about a lot. It seems like it's more like a Jason Bourne type of thing or James Bond. But in reality, there are these security teams working with these people all over the world, and we sometimes, it goes under our radars.
Yeah, and you think about all the facilities, where you could go train in this country. There are just facilities everywhere. And the government has their own facilities to train. But when they're choosing to send their people to this valley because of the quality of the range and the quality of the training, I mean, anyone that is opposing that is nonsense, because the men and women coming here to train are, like I said, they're good people. They've chosen to defend this country. There is no draft here. We know that. Anyone that's serving in any capacity
Mm-hmm.
should be saluted and respected. But these men and women are, they're the best of the best, and they're coming here, and we should be very honored that we have facilities and training here that they would choose to come and be a part of.
Plus, they also got to check out the heat.
Oh yeah,
Where you were, it was
yeah,
actually hotter than here. It was 100 degrees here, and where you were, it had to be 105.
it was super hot. But you don't even notice it. The level of drills and things that they're doing are so intense that you're just completely focused on that. You just find yourself at the end of the day just exhausted and dripping in sweat. But anyway, it's a great thing to be part of. It's a privilege.
We were talking off air during the newscast about a story I happened to see, and I found this at Fox, which linked from the Wall Street Journal. And it's talking about people who are getting, well, we don't have to worry about it per se in Idaho. A lot of our discussion has been about the enhanced carry, so you can carry across state lines. But a lot of parts of the country, obviously, you still need a permit to carry. There's no constitutional carry. A couple of paragraphs here. It says there are now more than 16.3 million concealed handgun permits in the U.S. That's up nearly 2 million since last July, just since last July. Far more people carry guns today than in 2007, when there were only 4.6 million permits. 13 states now no longer require a permit to carry in all or most of the state. 8 of those 13 states made the change in the last 2 years, one of those being Idaho. And then it says women are largely fueling the increase. Among the 8 states that had data from 2012 to 2016, permits for men grew by 22%, and permits for women by 93%. In the 14 states that had available data from last year, women now make up 36% of permit holders. You see them come train, Todd, right?
Oh yeah, my classes are always full of women. They show up with their husbands. They show up by themselves. They show up and kind of have a girls' day out where they come and they learn how to shoot, and they get their permits. They're showing up by the dozens. I love to see a women come in there, and it's kind of funny. We were just talking off air. Lots of times they'll end up being your best shooters in your class, especially if they've never even picked up a firearm before, because they listen, they pay attention, they take to heart what you're telling them. They don't have any bad habits, and it's really kind of fun to see them outshoot their husbands or their boyfriends, whoever they've come to the class with by the end of the day.
I'll just point out from my own personal experience, they generally have more patience than I do, and that may be it too as well.
That it's the guys end up having a lot of machismo, and you're not going to tell them, I've been shooting a gun for years. You're not going to, they may not come out and say that, but you kind of get that off of some of them. You're not going to tell me anything I don't already know, that type of thing. And so they listen to you, and they may do what you tell them to once or twice, and then they kind of slip back to their old ways again. And it's just it is what it is. I We were also talking about over at where I do CrossFit at. I was talking to a lot of the women in there, and just about different places around the valley where we go running. It turns out a lot of them actually carry a firearm when they're out running and or walking or exercising out in the valley, whether it be down in the canyon or running in the South Hills or whatever. And I want to say that shouldn't surprise me, but it surprised me. I think there's a lot more women out there that carry that. They aren't like guys. They're not going to make a big deal about it. They do what they do, and it's their own thing. That's the way it should be. They keep it to themselves, but they do carry, and that's a fantastic thing. So.
And Forrest, you obviously see them because they come in to buy firearms, and so you see them on that end of the transaction.
Yeah, and it's impressive the research they've done up front. There's so many awesome carry options right now. All the gun manufacturers have really poured a lot of money in developing good, solid, reliable carry firearms, because that was the problem for years and years, was you could get a small firearm that was concealable but didn't have the best reliability and wasn't necessarily very accurate. Now the triggers they're putting in these guns, the ergonomics to make them comfortable, the design features to make them reliable, they've really come a long way. Glock, Sig, Smith, all those guys have jumped in and developed some pretty amazing handguns. So, out there when you come to buy, there's just a plethora of pretty affordable choices out there of things that you can take right off the shelf. You don't need to modify. That's going to make a good, reliable, accurate self-defense firearm.
I was going to say that the development too of polymers in manufacturing has really, I think, opened this up to a lot more people who may have decided in the past that they weren't going to do it either.
Yeah, well, you look at the Army just adopted the Sig Sauer P320 as their primary sidearm. That's a polymer gun. It's got a polymer frame, but I working with some of the operators that we worked with, they were shooting those. I was shooting one, and we just beat the tar out of those things. I mean, we put a lot of rounds, didn't clean them, didn't oil them, nothing, and they just run like a champ.
Got to ask God. You got a class coming up. You just finished a class.
I did. I had a class last Saturday. It was a 4-hour class. It's kind of a learn to draw class, kind of a next step after getting your permit. Great class. We had a good turnout. A lot of fun. People really enjoyed it. We had people, drawing from holsters on their hips. We had a gal there. She was actually learning how to draw and fire from her purse, and that went really well. It's a good time. My next class is actually going to be July 29th. It's my concealed carry permit class, the enhanced permit. I still have plenty of openings available. You can call me, you can text me, area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. You can find me on Facebook under Patriot Defense. I'm not sure that I was going to maybe do a permit class next month. But I'm not sure if I'm going to actually have one in August. My daughter's getting married, and typically that's kind of a slower month anyhow because of fair and harvest and stuff. Um, that's still up in the air. I may have a class, but it may not be a permit class. We'll see. I'm just trying to work out the fine details. I should know hopefully by this next weekend.
We got a caller with us, and caller, you're on the air, and you're talking to the gun guys this morning on KLIX.
Thank you, sir. The one thing about this expansion of the handguns in this country is it's going to make it a lot more difficult for people to take over our country. And I just saw a deal on TV, a special deal about that Uganda thing where these scoundrels were just killing people left and right because they had guns. And the ones that were being killed have no way to defend themselves. And this, what's happening in our country is, as far as I'm concerned, is really a good thing.
I I I agree with the caller there. Whenever you put all the power in the hands of one person, you've created a bad situation. Balance is a good thing in any, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a business, whatever it is, balance is a good thing. And the fact that you can't have one leader who is either elected or appointed who controls all the guns and can say, his group of guys that he's hired is the only one that has them. That's a bad scenario. The fact that the Second Amendment was put in place for one thing, and that's balance, so that if there was tyranny, that they got to take a good hard look at it, because there's a lot of firearms out there, and there's a lot of people that are training, and I think that's the best thing, with guys like Todd out there, is get training so that if you have to use it, you're not just a gun owner, you are a trained gun person. You know what you're doing. You don't just have a gun in the house, but you know how to use that gun, and that makes you able to defend your family, and worst case scenario, defend your country or your home. So yeah, I think that brings a lot of balance to the situation.
I got it. We were talking earlier about how hot it was when you were out in Hagerman last Friday. Uh, of course, you were trying to help people deal with the heat. Did you sell the AC units?
Oh, we run that ad. We had about 12 AC units, and by 3 o'clock the next day, they were all
We
gone.
we tried to sell them for you on the air.
They were just vaporized. They were gone, and we were able to help some. We try to do what we can to help people. We were able to help some people in a pretty tough situation. They were nice enough to post reviews on Facebook, but we had a single mother with 2 kids, lived in an upstairs apartment, and she had one 2-year-old, and she was 8 months pregnant with another one.
Uh,
And her
They were
apartment, I think her thermometer said it was 90 degrees inside. And that's a miserable way to be. I've never been pregnant, and I don't want to be pregnant. If it happens, I'll be a wealthy man. But
yeah.
but that's a terrible situation to be in, and we were able to help some people, and it
And
was a good thing.
people can drop by the store, Washington Street Pawn. Uh, what's the address again?
321 Washington Street. Stop in, say hi. There's some great deals. We've got AR-15s right now. We can order for people for $400 out the door. Like, that's your cost. Walk out the door, lifetime free replacement warranty for $400 right now. I mean, there's some deals out there that are crazy. Handguns. I've got a lot of used. If you're going to be hunting, I've got a lot of 3.5-inch shotguns, everything from Berettas to Mossbergs to Winchesters. A lot of cool stuff used that's in there right now. So if you need a hunting rifle or a hunting shotgun, get them now, because they won't be around when the season opens.
We'll talk more about contact information for both Forrest and Todd again before the show wraps up. Do want to point out you can reach us after the break at 736-0300, 736-0300. We're at 68. Bill Colley with you as well on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Our studio guest joining us today, we're talking about firearms, and of course, you can chime in as well if you've got a comment or question. They handle two different areas. Well, there's some overlap here, too, we should point out as well. 22 minutes after 9, and it's 69. Todd Eccles is with Patriot Defense. Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pawn. Bill Colley answering the telephone. The telephone number is 736-0300, 736-0300. Hey, quickly, we were talking about women who shoot, and there's that one women's group. They shoot I think it's Saturday morning, or just about every Saturday morning in Jerome. There's a group of them, and they go out. I know I was invited to come out with them. I don't know if they're trying to tell me, but there was a group of women, and they were getting together, and they were actually going out on the range.
There's a group called the Well Armed
Yeah,
Women.
that's what I was thinking of.
And you can find them on Facebook. They have an organization. I know there's one in Boise and Idaho Falls. There's also the Magic Valley Practical Shooting Association, which is a great way to get familiarized with. Every other week, the first and third Saturday of every month, they do a shoot. They set up like 6 different little scenarios, and you go out there and shoot. You might have to open a door. You might have to move down between some walls that they have out there. They set up the range different every time, and it's a great way. It's a membership for that is $55 a year for a family.
Yeah.
And then you get an access to the gate code and you get an access to the trailer code, and you're able to go out there at your convenience and use their targets, and then you can participate in their shoots. And if you're not a member, if you just want to check it out, like this Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, they're having what they call a 3-gun. So that will be like an AR-15, a shotgun, and a handgun. Or they have a 2-gun where you can just bring your handgun and your AR-15, and it's $20 to shoot. They set up the ranges for you. You know, you can show up early and help them set up if you want. But it's a great opportunity to go out and use your guns other than standing in front of a tin can or standing in front of a piece of paper out in the desert. You'll get some more real world scenario opportunities to use your firearms.
Should everybody have some experience shooting not only a pistol or a revolver, but also some long guns as well? I mean, should people have that experience with all of these?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, if that's what suits you, yeah. I mean, learn how to use a shotgun. You can use a shotgun for self-defense, for home defense. You know, if you got it, if it fits you. If you're going to have guns in your house and you're going to have a rifle, you're going to have a shotgun, you're going to have handguns. Maybe they're not yours, maybe they're your spouse's. You should know how to run them. So whether or not you like to go out and shoot that rifle, you should know how it works. Go out and shoot it. Maybe you'll like it more than you know more than what you think. You can get a nice light caliber and sit there and bullseye shoot. That's kind of fun. You can take a shotgun. You can, you know, home defense, hunting. You can shoot clay pigeons. If it's in your house, you should know how to run it. What if your spouse leaves it down and you need to pick it up and know how to clear it and put it somewhere safely, know how to handle it? It pays, you know, knowledge is key.
And I've seen you, Forrest, shoot moving targets. It's easy enough for me to stand there and just put some lead down range, but a moving target on its that's not anywhere near as easy.
Oh no, it's a whole different. Well, you know, the fundamentals are all the same. You know, it's trigger manipulation. It's how you're holding the gun. But you have to move with the target. And, you know, at first people struggle with that because they're not used to doing that. But once you familiarize yourself with it, then, you know, it's one of those things that you should practice, because if you're shooting in a self-defense situation, it's most likely that whatever you're defending yourself against isn't going to stand in front of you and let you pop shots
Yeah,
at them. You know, they're going to be moving as well.
It's not going to be static.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's why I like about the competition things like the Magic Valley Practice Shooting Association is you'd be amazed. There's a guy, he comes out, he can shoot one hole on a piece of paper, hit the same target every time. But you put a stopwatch on them,
A little bit of
all of a
stress.
sudden they're dropping their magazines, they're forgetting to rack their slides on an empty gun. There's all kinds of things are happening because there's a little bit of adrenaline. And if you're making mistakes like that with a little bit of adrenaline, imagine in a self-defense situation where there's a lot of adrenaline. That's why it's a good opportunity to go and train or at least practice where you've got a little bit of stress at least.
We have a caller with us. And caller, you're on the air on KLIX at 927. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just got back in the truck and caught just the middle of you talking about the 2-gun, 3-gun training thing for $20. Where did you say that was at? I missed that.
Okay, so if you go out on Highway 93 and you go past the flashing light about 3 miles, on your right-hand side is the Jerome Gun Range. Now, in that Jerome Gun Range, there's several different complexes. There's the cowboy shooting range. There's a regular old rifle range where a lot of people go out and sight in their hunting rifles. But on your right-hand side, the second to last range, right before you get to the rifle range, is a range called the Magic Valley Practical Shooting Association. So you just turn in there, and it's the old Silhouette range. You go there, they've got like 9 different berms that they've dug in there, so 9 different ranges. They'll set up targets, everything from like the Texas Star spinning. You'll actually move and shoot, so you'll have to move with your rifle, and then you'll shoot your rifle empty, and you'll put your rifle in a bucket, and you'll draw your pistol, and then you'll shoot the rest of the targets with that. So it's a really good way to practice moving and shooting, and actually you have an opportunity to manipulate your AR-15 and your handgun.
And that's a club that you can join, you were saying? I missed the first part.
Yep, it's $55 a year to join. However, you don't need to be a member to go shoot these.
If you are a member, these chutes are $15. If you're not a member, they're $20. So it's only $5 more. So if you want to go to one and just kind of check it out, you can do that. It'll cost you $20. If you do buy the membership, the additional benefits you get is, first of all these chutes will be a little bit cheaper. Second of all, you have access to the range, so you can go out there whenever you want, get the targets out, set up your own thing, and shoot on your own.
Want to thank you for the call. We have to take a short break, hard break at 9:30. I do want to point out Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pond in studio with us, along with Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. Bill Colley, too, on Top Story this morning on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. And as I said, another half hour left. Joining us in the studio, and we're talking about firearms today. And in fact, if you've got a comment or question as well, perhaps you have a particular model in mind, and Forrest may have it available at Washington Street Pond. Or if you are looking to sign up and do some training for that enhanced carry permit, you need to get in touch with Todd. It's 9:34. Bill Colley with you as well on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. And telephone number for reaching the show today, 736-0300, 736-0300. And Forrest, if they need to get in touch with you at Washington Street Pond, plus they want to stop in the store and maybe see what you've got, how do they go about doing that?
Well, a couple things. First of all, if you want to know more about those shoots on Saturdays and you want to get one of Todd's cards, I have a bunch of Todd's cards for his classes, and the Magic Valley Practical Shooting Association have all the information. Just stop in the store and I can get you that. So for the caller earlier, if you want more information, swing in the store or give us a call at the store, 208-735-0012, or our address is 321 Washington Street. Stop in there. You can message us on Facebook. We are literally available to you however you want to get a hold of us. Even if I'm not at the store, you send a message on Facebook, it comes to me, I can answer that for you. So.
And if you need to pick up bread, the bakery's just down the street, too.
Absolutely.
And for Todd.
Yeah, if you want to, you call me, text me, area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. I do got a class, permit class coming up on July 29th. I got some room left in there. If you got any questions, get a hold of me. You can find me on Facebook under Patriot Defense. Look me up, like the page. I'm really good at getting back to people. There was a gentleman that called me yesterday, and I forgot to respond to him. If he's listening, I will call you back shortly, and I will be probably out of cell range most of the day on Saturday. I'm headed out to Jarbidge, so call me, leave a message. I will get a hold of you as soon as I get back within range.
Going to try those pigtail French fries over at, what is it, Out and In. We've got a caller with us. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air.
Yeah, Bill, Dennis. I had, a couple weeks ago, you said something about wanting to go out and try a 500 Smith Wesson rifle.
Yeah, I think it
Are
came
you
up
still
to...
looking to do that? If I have one, I'd loan.
Oh, well, we'll see. I've got to figure out when I'm going to get the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Time being critical part of this. Lately, getting up at 2:30 this week was no time for anything. We've got another caller with us. Caller, you're up next. It does sound like a lot of fun. You're up next. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, guys. I just wanted to put in a plug for Forrest. You know, because of the show and listening to the show, I went to his store and I traded in a gun and got a gun, and it showed up when he said it was going to show up. He went out and found the specials that was on the gun and got me the one with the better sights and everything else on it. And it was painless and it was easy. So I recommend it.
Ooh, very nice.
I appreciate that. I remember he just came in this week and he ordered that gun. He got a Glock 43 with the night sights on them. They're really cool night sight that they put on those guns, because most night sights are great for shooting at night. But the dot isn't quite as bright in the day. Like the white dot, it's like it's more like glass. So you can't pick it up as good in the day. But these new night sights they're putting on have an orange ring, and inside the orange ring they put a tritium dot, so it makes them really easy to see during the day and at night. And yeah, he was a great guy. He came in with his family. We picked it up. It was a pleasure doing business with him.
I was getting a little worried though. He said he listened to the show. He loved the show, and because he listened to the show, he traded in his guns. And I was like, whoa, where are we going?
He went from a 40 Smith & Wesson compact carry to a 9mm. Went from a double stack 40 to a single stack 9, it's going to be a lot more comfortable to carry. It's going to weigh a lot less. And in my opinion, the Glock 43 right now is one of the best carry guns you can get.
He traded up if he went from a 40 to a 9 in my book.
And he took your course a few months ago too.
Yeah. See,
So-
he must have paid attention.
Hey, quickly, we got about a minute before the break. Without going into too much detail about who it was, we were talking about a new style for at least call it a way to rack the slide that's quick and it may be safe as well. It is safe. Explain maybe just if you could visually
Okay,
what it looks
it
like.
might be difficult to explain, but when your gun runs empty and the slide locks to the rear, and this is what the SEALs are using right now, is what we are training them to do right now, instead of when you seat that magazine, there's 3 ways to send that slide forward. Sometimes if you seat that magazine hard enough, it'll go forward. You never want to count on that. Some guys are like, I just hit my magazine in real hard, my slide closes. Well, that's a maybe work, maybe not. You don't want to get into a bad training scar of doing that, because half the time it's not going to work, and then you're going to find yourself standing there with a gun with a slide lock back. So you can seat the mag, so you can go to the back of the slide and grab the serrations at the back. Big hand, big slide. It's a pretty positive movement. Let the slide go forward. The other thing is there's a little what they call a slide lock. That is not a slide release. On the SIGs and the Glocks, that button's pretty small.
Hold on to that thought. We'll pick it up on the other end of the break. It's coming up on 9:40. Look, all you have to do is say SEALs. If they're doing it, you're going to have a lot of people out there who are going to say, all right, I need to pick that up. It's 20 minutes now from 10 o'clock. Forrest Anderson, Todd Eccles, and Bill Colley with you this morning. Top story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. We're at 7. Forrest Anderson was giving us an explanation. We were talking about a new style of how Navy SEALs are racking slides. I want to mention Forrest is here from Washington Street Pawn, as well as Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense, and Bill Colley answering the telephone. The number is 736-0300, 736-0300. It's 943 and 69. So you were giving us a breakdown of the different ways it can be done, and maybe pick it up from where you left off.
Okay, so then there's the slide lock button on the side, and like the Glocks and the 320s, they just have a really small button. If your hands are sweaty, if they're bloody, if it's raining, whatever the situation is, sometimes that button in a panic situation can be difficult to hit. Your finger can slip off it. It takes a lot of pounds of pressure actually on a very small point, so it's difficult to hit. Shooting competition, that's the button I use all the time because it's super fast. But in life or death situation, you miss that once, that 1 second you take to recover and hit the button again may be the second that you needed to stay alive. So the way that they're doing it is, and there's, it's difficult to explain on radio, but the touch point is where your offhand touches the bottom of the trigger guard. So what they're doing is they're bringing their offhand to the touch point, then they're just rolling their hand over the top of the gun and grabbing the front of the slide. Back from the barrel. They're not putting their fingers over the end of the barrel, but right in front of the ejection port, they're grabbing with that offhand, pulling the slide back from there, because then it's a super short movement to just reorient the gun back down, their fingers still on the touch point, and they can go right back to work again. So it's a really short movement. If you want to stop in the shop, I can demo it for you, or we can kind of touch base on stuff like that. And if, it's another thing, if people ever have questions about things like that, like I got to clean my gun, I don't know how to take it apart. How do I do a reload? How do I rack the slide? What's the proper way to do it? Stop in the shop. We're working in there. We'll be happy to touch base with you on that stuff. I mean, we love to talk shop and talk guns. So just stop in and we'll help you with that.
When I was at the Sheriff's Department a few weeks ago talking with Sergeant Sugden, he had brought up that in the military and police too as well, what they've done over the years is just various ways to even draw have changed because people find new ways to do it. Time-wise, it's more efficient. It's smoother. And you're teaching some of that now too.
Yeah, I've been putting together some classes. I'd like to have one a month, and that's the one we just did last Saturday of how to draw your firearm. Okay, so you've got your permit, you know how to shoot it, you know the basics. Now, if you have to use it, what's the safe and proper way to draw that firearm? And we touch on that. There's all different ways to stand, different stances and stuff when you're shooting, and there's different ways to draw your firearm. The one we were shooting is like the 6-point draw. That's just basic safe draw. Once you get that figured out, then I'm going to have some more classes as to like drawing from concealed. Now my last class, I did have a gal drawing from her purse. She wasn't set up to draw from a holster at all, and so we had her drawing from her purse, and she did fantastic at it. But we'd like to set up some more classes where you learn to draw from concealment, whether it be maybe you carry on your ankle, maybe you carry on your hip under your shirt, maybe you carry in a shoulder holster. There's all different things that we could work on, and we want to touch on. But I'm going to have another one of those classes put together in September. I may have another one in August. I'm just waiting to find out exactly how my daughter's wedding is going to go.
When you talk about the purse, there are purse holsters though, right? That people can buy.
Well, yeah, and this purse actually had a concealed carry pocket, and it had a holster in it that you could lock the handgun in, so it's not just rolling around in there pointing at everything. And so she carried it on her shoulder, just that's the way she held it on her shoulder, and she was able to unzip it and just slide her hand in, get good purchase on that firearm, and bring it out, and then continue the draw and point it out and take her shot. So she actually got pretty proficient with it. I will say, sometimes smaller guns are going to be a lot harder to draw and fire. I saw some people having some trouble getting a good purchase on their gun, a good firing grip on their gun when they were taking it out of the holster. And it's because it was a small firearm and there's not a lot there to hang on to. So that's something to think of too. These classes, I want to help people learn how they can continue to shoot, how they can continue to train. And hopefully some people that take the classes, I want them to come to the realization themselves that, do some problem solving and go, maybe this isn't the firearm for me, or maybe this isn't a good place to carry, or maybe I need a good holster. It's figure this stuff out now before you have to use your firearm, and then you're ready to go.
As I understand it, there's also a purse that's been manufactured where they don't even have to remove the firearm any longer. They can just fire from within the purse.
If you have the right handgun, maybe let's say you're shooting like a hammerless type revolver, something that doesn't have an action on it that's going to slide back and get caught on stuff, or a hammer that's going to get caught on stuff. So that's why I say hammerless. You can actually stick your hand in there. You can get good purchase of your firearm, and yeah, you could stick your purse, your purse out, your bag out, whatever, and you could shoot right through it if you wanted to.
You can't aim really very well.
No, it's for kind of an up close and personal type of thing. You obviously don't want to be taking any 50-yard shots that way.
Television, you realize all of the great detectives on TV never aimed. They always held everything at waist high. And
well, they're just that good, Bill.
Yes.
If you ever want something funny, watch the intro to T.J. Hooker, like the old intro to the episode. And there's actually a guy, he jumps over a wall and he draws. He's holding it at his waist, like pointing it around. It's hilarious. I always watch at the shop just for a laugh.
I love the old Magnum PIs where he carries that 1911 no holster tucked into the small of his back all the time. Like, whoa, he's braver than me.
Yep.
Yeah, big, tall fellow. Maybe he could get away with it. We have a caller with us. Caller, you're up next. It's 9:49 on KLIX.
Yeah, the question for you guys, ask the experts here. Have you guys heard of the NRA Carry Guard and then the U.S. Concealed Carry Association? If there's one necessarily better than the other, or what's your guys' thoughts on that?
I would just whatever you do, read the fine print. There's kind of I don't know how big of a controversy it is, but USCCA had come out with this first, and this Carry Guard by the NRA is something more recent, and they're kind of having a little bit of a tiff. Just read the fine print. There's one, and I can't remember if it's one of those or something else, where there's money there. You pay your membership or whatever, and your money's there, and you can take whatever money you need to defend yourself. But you got to read the fine print and make sure it works for you, just as you should with any insurance. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't know the ins and outs of each of them. I thought about looking into something like this as well. I just have not done it yet. Have you heard anything, Forrest, on any of it?
Well, I know USCCA has been around for a while, so they're established.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more data available for you to read and people's experience with actually using it. The NRA Carry Guard just came out, and there's a tiff between the two, obviously, because they're in competition, and there's been a lot of back and forth with that. But, you want to read. I think, we're talking about insurance. I think the biggest thing you can do is go buy a gun safe. I tell everybody, go buy a gun safe. I just talked to a gentleman who had 50 guns stolen. He went out of town. Another guy got a gun stolen out of his truck. If you're carrying, bring your gun in every night. You got to discipline yourself to do that, because like with the 50 guns stolen, that's 50 guns
floating around in someone's hands that's not supposed to have guns. So you know, a good safe will cost you about $500. You know, you can buy one at Costco for around $500, but by all means, spend the $500 because if you lose $10,000 in guns over buying a $500 safe, it's not worth it. Thieves aren't going to hang around for hours. They're going to come in. They're going to take what's easy. So if you lock stuff up, your stuff will be safe.
And if
Well,
you go ahead, sorry.
Well, not only do you lose the those guns they're floating around on the street, but I mean those are guns you can pass on to your children one day, and you lost that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you are looking for like you know you're talking about carry insurance as well. There's a armed citizens legal defense network. I think that's one of them as well. Just read the fine print. I mean, if you find one that is real good that you like, and you do your research, feel free to call back to the show sometime and let us know what you found. I'd be interested in learning learning a lot more.
Yep.
All right, will do. Thank you guys.
I want to thank him for the call. It's 9:52. Safes, by the way, and I did a couple of radio shows. There's different parts of the country have different names, but you have a lot of agricultural stores. Here it's D&B in this part of the country. In the Northeast, it's called Agway. In the South, it's called Southern States. And I used to do these. They'd have the tent shows where they'd bring in the safes. So I'd literally go out and broadcast live at these tent shows at Southern States. And I'd go to these, and you have the great big safes you're going to be putting maybe in a basement or in a garage or somewhere like that, where no one's going to be able to haul these things away unless they've got a forklift, and thieves don't have time for that. But you can have a small safe as well if you've got just a few, handguns. You can have a small safe that you can store them, and you don't need anything that's, the size of a bank vault.
I have an opinion about that though, because I think small safes, all they do is gather up all your valuables and put them in one spot for the thief to pick up and take. If it's small safe and you can carry it, or it's easy manipulated, maybe two people can carry it, they're going to roll in, they're going to grab it, they're going to take it, and they'll figure out how to open it later. They aren't going
It's
to try
got to
to
be
open
heavy
it.
then. You've got to have something heavy.
Or securely attached to something. That's why I like a big gun safe and I like it in a basement because I actually saw a picture of a hole in the exterior wall of someone's house. And that's where they had the gun safe. What they did is they backed up a pickup to the outside of the house. They took a Sawzall and cut the wall out around the safe and then just tipped the safe over into the back of the pickup with the wall and drove off with it.
Yeah, and I see another pet peeve of mine is when people keep them in the garage. Okay, if it's going to be in the garage, I guess that's okay, but make sure you you bolt that thing to the ground, because how easy is it when you're not home for someone to get your garage door open, back their vehicle into the garage, shut the garage door, load the safe up into the back of their truck, and then leave.
Drive off.
I mean, you're giving them a nice, secure place to do that. And if you are buying a safe, just get a big one and get bigger than what you think you're going to need, because I guarantee you, if you start off with one handgun, and pretty soon you may have some ammo, and then you may have another one, and then who knows, maybe you want to take up hunting, then you got a rifle, then you got a shotgun. I started with what I thought was a big one, and to be honest with you, now I have to, it's like Tetris. I got to get my guns in there just right to get that door shut.
Yeah, and the other thing is spend the money. It's not that much money. Call Tom Tucker at A&T Security. Put a security system on your house. As soon as that door opens, the alarm goes off. Those guys aren't going to hang around. They're going to grab whatever they can see immediately and take off. They don't want to get caught. They have no interest in confrontation. They want easy targets. So arm yourself, get some training, learn. Don't be an easy target. Same thing goes with your home. Put a security system on it. They're not that much money. The monitoring is like $25 a month. Put some cameras out. They do all that for you, and it's so easy.
They got some pretty cool stuff now. You can control from your phone. You can pull up all the cameras on your phone. It's pretty sweet.
I can control my security system from my phone. I can arm it, disarm it. If it goes off, I immediately get notifications. I can look at my phone and see what the cameras are seeing, so I can see if it's one of my knucklehead kids.
You can see if your kids are getting into your Doritos, man.
Exactly.
That's what I'd be looking for. Stay out of my stuff.
Guarantee you, my boys will be in my Doritos. Those guys.
Vacuums.
Teenage boys, yep.
When they came out with the Cool Ranch in the early days, that was I thought that was that science had reached its final level. But
You know, you just got to start eating healthy because then you buy the food they don't want to eat and you got
Yes.
plenty
That's true.
of it.
That's true.
There was a story about a fellow who plays for the Chicago White Sox. I heard it on the Fox feed this morning. He eats 85 Twinkies a week. So you figure he's eating more than 10 Twinkies a day on average. But then he's a young ball player and he's getting a lot of exercise, so he's burning it all off while he's out there. But last night when he got on base for the first time, the fans were throwing Twinkies onto the field.
You know, when he dies, eventually they're not going to have to like embalm him or
No.
do
He will not
anything.
decompose.
He will not. He's going to survive a nuclear blast.
Bill, there's one thing I wanted to do, touch base. I want to kind of recognize some local businesses. I talk about my business.
Yeah, we got about a minute, so go ahead.
Two businesses I want to recognize this. True Value Hardware out in Murtaugh. They have a ton of ammunition. When everybody else is out, they always have some. They got a bunch of fishing stuff. Brad is a good man, and that business has been in that community for a long time, and it's kind of the lifeblood of that little community. The other one I want to talk about recognize is Darren at High Desert Meats. A lot of people are going to be hunting, getting kills. If you want a really great place where they do a great job cutting up your meat, wrapping it, doing exactly what they say they're going to do, you're going to get your animal. You're not going to get somebody else's animal. Go see Darren at High Desert Meats. He's a good man, and he does a great job with what he does. And, you know, if you've got a small business and you want us to recognize it, let us know. You know, I love to recognize people that do a great job, and we want to recognize them. And, of course, our local law enforcement. Twin Falls National Night Out for
August
police
1st.
agencies, August 1st. We're going to be there. We're going to be donating an AR-15. All the money is going to be going to the police organizations where they take care of for Twin Falls County and Twin Falls City, where they take care of the families of officers injured in line of duty. So we're going to raffle that gun. That's where the money's going to go. We're going to give it away that day. So come to National Night Out, buy a raffle ticket. It's going to go to a great cause.
Well, Todd and Forrest, we'll see you guys next week.
Yep, we'll be here.
And I do want to point out Rush Limbaugh's program is following the show. He can talk about OJ. I managed to avoid that today. OJ is the guy who created cable news. Think about it, he did.
Yeah.
It's coming up on 9:58, Fox News First. And God willing, if the creek don't rise, I'll be here to, I was going to say tomorrow morning. I'll be sleeping late tomorrow, 4 a.m. at least. God willing, if the creek don't rise, I'll be back here between 8 and 10 o'clock on Monday.